All right, back now to our breaking news story and tough questions about the White House in the wake of a report that found that some of the big donors, they're known as bundlers, they put together a lot of political contributions to President Obama's campaign, and that they received influential government positions and in some cases stimulus money to companies that they were connected to. That's the big question here. Fox News Channel Mike Emanuel and White House spokesman Jay Carney on this 30 minutes ago. Watch this exchange.
Anyway, the report also brings up the idea that some people who've raised a lot of money work for companies that have gotten stimulus money, for example.
And the vast majority of companies that got stimulus money, a process, by the way, which is largely done in agencies by career employees of the federal government in terms of the bids and that sort of thing. The vast majority of companies were not donors. Did not have people who were bundlers working for them. So, it's not. People were appointed on the merits.
$13.8 million for Level 3 communications after you have a few bundlers is not chump change.
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
Well, I'm just saying that's a lot of money. $13.8 million in stimulus money if you've got a few bundlers on the team.
Again, you have to explain to me what the question is.
Does that pass the journalistic smell test? I mean, if you're...
What you're saying, as I've said, it does not disqualify you to get to work for this administration. It certainly hasn't disqualified you in any previous administration to have been a supporter.
Interesting. Joined now by former Howard Dean presidential campaign manager Joe Trippi, who is also a Fox News contributor. Joe, good to see you, as always.
Good to be here.
This is uncomfortable. No administration likes to answer these questions about whether or not people who give a lot of money end up getting political influence. You say you're shocked, right?
I'm shocked. George Bush didn't do it. Clinton didn't do it. Herbert Walker Bush didn't do it. It's never happened before.
The thing is, though, on that note, and then we're going to get to this other issue of stimulus money, which is a separate matter, as you say, not surprising. Lots of presidents give rewards to people who give a lot of money and exert their influence over people out there with money. The difference is that this president ran on hope and change. He stood up in 2007. He said the cynics, the lobbyists, the special interests who turned our government into a game that only they can afford to play. He blasted people who gave anybody like that influence. And some people say that is that's hypocrisy.
Well, no, look, I think it's clear that he's doing a lot of the same stuff the way it's always been done.
Does that disappoint you?
Yeah, a little bit, but I also think he's done a lot less of it than any other president in recent memory. He wouldn't let lobbyists come into the administration. They then went and got some exemptions for a few of them. But he's been a lot tougher on lobbyists entering the administration than any other administration in history that is best I know.
I can't help but you can't help but feel, and maybe all presidents have done the same thing, but the feeling about oil companies, pharmaceutical companies, it's like those guys are the bad guys, right? They're the bad guys in this administration. But if you're in the right kind of industry and you give a lot of money, well, then you're a special interest of a different sort.
But it's the same thing that happens in Washington, where you have Paulson from Goldman Sachs and Geithner from Goldman Sachs ending up as the Treasury secretaries from both the Bush administration and then the Obama administration. I mean, it's hard. What I think the president's had a hard time doing is breaking out of the insiderdom of the Washington Beltway.
Well,
and
it's very
unfortunately, even though he's fought it more than any other president, I think it's still clear how they're getting drawn into it. It's tough to break out of that.
I think you're right. I think he ran on a platform that he was different, that a new game had come to Washington. This issue of the stimulus money, though, this Level 3 Communications got $13 million in stimulus money. The former executive of that company went on to a nice ambassadorship in South Africa. He's not with the company anymore. He says he didn't know that the stimulus money went to that company, but it doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good. It's not only doesn't look good, it shouldn't happen. And it doesn't make me feel good to sit here and tell you both parties do it. Both parties have always done it. Running the Dean campaign, had wanted to create something that said, hey, we don't need any of this. Let's all the small people give a little bit of money each and change the way Washington works. But it still works this way. And sending one guy to a place where 400 or hundreds of people and lobbyists do it the old way means, guess what? He's going to end up cutting a deal for $100 million to get a vote in Nebraska. I mean, you become part of the system instead of breaking it up. I still think and hope that Obama will challenge the system a little bit more.
All right, Joe Trippi, and obviously a lot of questions in the press room today coming from every single network across the front row there. Wanted to have some things answered about this, so we'll be hearing more about it. Joe, always good to get your insight. We thank you very much for being here. Joe Trippi.